10 random Magic cards rated. Day number 144. Happy Saturday to everybody. Get your shopping done? No, not yet. Come on, not you. Anyway, mostly talking to myself here. Number 1 today is Admiral Brass Unsinkable. We didn't do this one yet. I thought we just did Admiral Brass the other day, but not this one. This is 5 mana, 2 and Grixis, blue, black, red, for a 3/3 legendary human pirate. When it enters the battlefield, mill 4 cards. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may return target pirate creature for a card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. So wordy. It has base power and toughness 4/4, and it gains haste until end of turn. So finality counter means you can't do the same pirate over and over. But whatevs, you know. Does this remind me of like the Goonies for some reason? Like all, what a weird movie for this to remind me of. But it's all the guys like crouch behind her, like kind of reminds me of Hook. That makes more sense, you know. Like she's Rufio, and I'm not sure what's happening in my brain right now, but still, yeah, I guess this is fine. You mill 4, hopefully you put some pirates in there. She gets you the pirates back free of charge. Their base power and toughness 4/4. That's probably better than they were in the first place because most pirates are kind of small, let's be honest. So, you know, okay. It's not a bad pirate commander. 4.6. Maybe when there's better pirates, she'll get a little bit better, but we're just not quite there yet, I think. Next is Phial of Galadriel. This is, can you guess what set this is from? This is 3 mana for a legendary artifact. If you would draw a card while you have no cards in hand, draw 2 instead. Have we done this card? We've done this card. We have done this card, and I think I rated it relatively highly because it's pretty good. If you would gain life while you have 5 or less life, you gain twice that much life instead. Taps for a mana of any color. So like a really, really good mana rock. Like a pretty fantastic mana rock, actually, because it can just draw you 2 cards sometimes. I rated it highly. I remember doing it before. Next is Goblin Bombardment. We just did this one the other day, and I went crazy about it because it's one of my favorite Magic cards of all time. I rated it very, very highly. That means that when we actually get a real card that counts for the series today, it's going to be bad. Let's see what it is. It's Shock. Not really. This is a pretty good card. You want the 7th edition foil? It's going to cost you $12. Have you watched Ristic Studies video on 7th edition yet? Just came out a few days ago. You need to watch it. It's a pretty good video. Pretty good video, and the foils are all gorgeous from that set, and I honestly think, in a way, $12 for a 7th edition foil Shock is kind of okay. That's kind of okay and almost worth it a little bit, so I'm just going to say that. Either way, Shock was originally printed in, oh my god, can I get this right? Stronghold? Stronghold. Your boy, the champion. This is a single red mana for 2 damage to a creature or player at instant speed, so not Lightning Bolt. 1/3 less potent than a Lightning Bolt, which makes all the difference in the world, but it's still a good Magic card. It's still like a really good Magic card. You know, a thing can't do 2 1/4 damage. You can't, it turns out you can't get the exact, what should a 1 red mana burn spell do if it can hit any target? How much damage should that do? The correct answer is probably 2 1/4 to 2.5 damage, but you can't do that, right? So, Shock might not be Bolt, but it's still like a 7. It's still a solid 7. Guaranteed. Good card, honestly. Next is Temple of Plenty. We have done temples a few times. I feel like we've run into these, and they're okay. Next is Rhythm of the Wild. Wild the Wild. Yeah, yes. Rhythm of the Wild. It's 3 mana. I got to do that one more time in my MTG YouTube career. Even if I do this for another 20 years, I'm not sure how many times I'll be able to go, Rhythm of the Wild. This is 3 mana. 1, a red, and a green for an enchantment. Creature spells you control cannot be countered. A non-token creatures you control have Riot. They enter the battlefield with your choice of a +1/+1 counter or haste. This card is still popping, dude. This is why this card's like $3. It's been reprinted a bunch of times. In the like 6 years it's been out, it's been reprinted a million times. It's 6 total times it's been reprinted. There's even a secret lair drop. Oh yeah, the Wolverine one. It's still sticking above like $3 in most cases. Card's great. Card's so good, dude. Your Gruul deck wants this. It just does. You know, your guys are either slightly larger than they are intended to be. Counts for your +1/+1 counter deck in a lot of ways. It's really good. Or just haste. You know, a 3 mana, all your guys have haste is really good. It just is very good. I wish we had that in standard. Like, there's been many times I wish we had exactly a effect just like this in Standard. We've had things that give like one of the guys you play haste over a turn for 3 mana. No, I want all my guys to have haste. No matter how many dudes I play in a turn. Rhythm of the Wild does that. And it gives you this excellent gravy where your dudes can't be countered. Just fantastic, fantastic Magic card, dude. 7.4. I'm so serious, dude. Like, this is one of the better. There's only a few all your guys have haste effects on, like, not creatures. There are creatures that do it. There's not a whole lot of enchantments that do it. There's like 4 enchantments that do it that I can remember off the top of my head. And so these don't come along very often, especially for a relatively low cost, right? I think Fervor is like 3 mana, but doesn't Fervor give all creatures haste? And that kind of sucks. Like, just your guys for 3 mana is a pretty rare deal. So I think it's a very good Magic card. Next is Big Winner from Unfinity. We don't do 1 cards around here. Get out of here. This is Nezumi Shortfang. We have also done this card before. I do love Nezumi Shortfang. I'm a big fan of Shortfang. But we'll move on to Wizard School from Homelands. So how good can it actually be? But note that this wasn't a Pro Tour deck. At one point, this wasn't a Pro Tour deck. This is a land. Taps for a colorless mana, or you can pay 1 and tap it to add a blue. Or you can filter 2 mana into it to make a white, or 2 mana into it to make a black. So you'd have to tap 3 total lands to make a white or black mana here. If you absolutely have to, I guess that's what you do. I guess back in the day, this was the first like 3 color land cycle that we had. So we did occasionally use cards like this because this kind of, mana filtering was a little bit important in certain decks, right? Where you didn't have all the best like dual lands, or you only had a few dual lands or whatever. So it's not like we never used these. We did. But nowadays, I think these cards are atrocious. And the only cool thing about them is the aesthetic. I really liked this sort of land border in Homelands a lot. This like grayscale stone looking thing with the green outline. I actually think that's a little bit sick, but the Pat Morrissey art looks good too. It's that like simple mid-90s fantasy art, the landscape, but like it's still gorgeous. That's an aesthetic that I really, really enjoy, and I think we should kind of get back to. Like, I don't care if it's a little bit simple. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Look at this. Look at the blending and the color palette here from dark to light. I like that. Look at the little bit of like Bob Rossian happy little green moss in the sea foam there. That's nice. This little tree growing off the cliff. This little house that's part of the temple. Like, it's all absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful, beautiful art, but that gets you nowhere in terms of the ratings. So I'm just going to give this card a 3.5. This is no longer any good in any deck as far as I'm concerned. Or no, I could be missing something, but you just do a lot better than this now. But Path of Ancestry is up next, originally from Treasure Chest, actually from Commander 2017. This is a land that ETB's tapped. Tap to add to your mana pool 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. When that mana is spent to cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with your commander, scry 1. So command tower that enters tapped and cares about creature types. But that said, if you actually make it work, then it's a whole scry 1. Ooh, but you may not cast a creature every turn of the game. Even if you have a creature in your hand that you can cast, you may elect to cast something else or do something else. So you're not going to get a scry every single turn, but this will probably lead to at least a few extra scries in the game, and they can make a big difference. So I don't think the card is terrible, but I'm still not going to give it more than like a 3.65. I think you can probably do a lot better with Secluded Courtyard and, of course, Ancient Ziggurat. We just looked at that card the other day. Cave, that's obvious. Cavern of Souls, right? But that card costs $1 million. I think Command Tower is obviously better than this. I don't know, man. I think it probably earns a slot in a lot of decks, but that doesn't mean it's great. So I'll stop at a 4.3, I think, on this one. We'll move on to Swamp. I feel like we just looked at similar art to this the other day from John Avon. It's from, I think this art is originally from Urza Saga, just like the one that we looked at yesterday. It's fine. All basics get a 5. This is decent art. I'll give the art a 6.3. Again, Avon picked a good color palette for the swamps in the set. It's sort of like blue, purple, fading into white, kind of misty. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous card. Mindstone's up next. This is the 4th time we've hit Mindstone. It is one of my favorite rocks of all time. We just keep hitting the rock, don't we? We got to get off the rock. Let's move on to Locked in the Cemetery. This is a single penny for a 2 mana card. It's 1 and a blue for an aura that enchants a creature. When it ETBs, if there are 5 or more cards in your yard, tap enchanted creature. The creature does not tap, or untap rather, during its controller's untap step. Just a typical blue tapper. 2 mana is not the worst rate for a card like this, but I still can't give it more than like a 3.6, you know? Path of Peril is up next. That's a magic card. 3 mana, 1 and 2 black for a sorcery. Destroy all creatures with mana value 2 or less. But if you pay the cleave cost on this, you pay 4 a white and a black. 6 total mana to just destroy all creatures. So 6 mana to destroy all creatures is not great, right? There's a lot of sweepers that do that for 4 mana. But the fact that you can do either or, the versatility the card gives you is just unbelievable. This is one of the better black sweepers ever printed in a lot of ways, man. 60 cents, I think it's kind of a steal for your black-white commander deck to play this card because it's still great. It's still so great. I'm going to give Path of Peril. Man, that art. Jeez Louise, that art. Kafis, you did amazing here. Jeez. That's tough, guys. I'm going to ask the audience and give you a second to post your score on this card. And then give mine. Path of Peril is a 6.6. I bet that's higher than any score that it received in the comments section, and I wasn't aiming for a score higher than I thought you'd give it. I just think that I'm probably going to value this card more than a lot of people. I think that sweepers generally get a decently high score, and this being 2 different sweepers at 2 different costs, very important. So yeah, I'd say 6.6. At least. But I'll move on to a card I think we've done before too. Skyhunter Skirmisher. Yeah, the 3 mana 1/1 flying double strike Cat Knight. She's all right. She's okay, but we have done her before. Plains is next. Phallid Germinator is our actual next card here. This is 3 mana, 2 and a green for a 2/2 fungus. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a spore counter on this guy. Remove 3 counters from him to get a 1/1 green sapperling. Sack a sapperling to have a creature get +1/+1 till end of turn. I am partial to all of these guys, not only the ones from Fallen Empires, those Thalids, but the ones from Time Spiral too, where they kind of redid the Thallid theme, you know, a little bit. I've just always loved these dudes. They take way too long to give you a measly 1/1, right? But there's kind of a slivers thing going on where if you have a bunch of different of these fungus, then they'll help your sapperlings in different ways, or they'll help themselves in different ways by sacking your sapperlings, and they're all good. But this dude is one of the worst of this cycle, so I'm just going to give him a 3.4. I really think he's kind of terrible, but I just, again, have a special affinity for these cards. Last card of the day is Unholy Strength. We literally did it 2 days ago. Let's look at Orzhov Guildmage instead. Oh, I love this guy. I think we've done him before too, though. So it's a day of cards we've done before. But God, he looks so cool too. Look at how cool he looks. Next is actually Cho-Mano's Blessing. We have not done this card before. It was only ever printed in Mercadian Mask, and this card is actually pretty good. 2 white mana for an enchant creature. You may play Blessing anytime you can play an instant. When it comes into play, choose a color. Enchanted creature has protection from the chosen color, but this effect will not remove Cho-Mano's Blessing in case you picked white. If you're trying to protect from Swords to Plowshares or a weird block or something, it won't remove Cho-Mano's Blessing. And why not? Because it says so. This is back when, and the Oracle text is still the same, so they haven't really changed these rules. This is back when a card could just say it doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it has protection from white. It doesn't remove this. Sure, that's the easiest way to do this. And so we'll just do that. We'll just say the rules don't apply. But in any case, this is pretty good. You know, often you want these 1 mana save a guy effects to cost 1 mana. Right? I just said these 1 mana save a guy effects. You want saving your guy to cost 1 mana, 9 times out of 10. But this is one of those exceptions where, you know, just like, say, Shard Mage's Rescue, we see that in Standard now. Just like that card, you'd be getting, you know, Constellation triggers, Eerie triggers, Enchantress triggers, and stuff like that when you resolve Cho-Mano's Blessing. So it's an enchantment. You got to remember that. That's good enough. But you can also, it's a flash enchantment. That's sick. You can save a guy with it, and this protection ability stays forever, which doesn't usually happen on Save Your Guy spells. That means it's going to get through for combat damage more often. It can block all game forever, you know. It can't be hit by the removal spells. Just really sick to be able to stick this on a creature. And this did see play back in the day, and I can tell from the 30 cents price tag that somebody is still playing it. It's not 10 cents for Mercadian Mass Common. It's still 30 cents. Somebody has ordered this card recently. But a few people. But I think Tremendous Blessing is better than it looks. And I'll give the card a solid 5. Right out of 5. I'll even give it the honorary 5. In case you want to fight me on that score, because I could see fighting me on that score. It's a little bit high. But honorary 5 for Tremendous Blessing. I did a lot of work with this card back in the day. A lot of people did. And I still think that it's possible the card could do work for you right this second. But that is all I've got for Saturday. Whatever today's date. November 30th? Did I get it right? November 28th, 9th, 30th? Yeah, I think it's November 30th as I record this video. Hope you had a good November, everyone, and I will see you in December. Bye.